Welcome to Sound Lab Studios. Sound Lab.
To the point where I'm no fun anymore.
Wow, listen to the way the artist intended to. Hey, music fans, and welcome to Sound Lab Studios. So, today's video I have wanted to do for a very long time now. It's honestly a video I think really needs to happen. But Nick and I are here to talk about selling out.
Yeah,
Quotation marks.
gotta emphasize on that.
So, how many times have you listened to a favorite song like, I don't know, or you listened to like Dreams by Fleetwood Mac or Invisible Touch by Genesis? You're like, this is a pretty good song, and then you look in the comments and there's a lot of people saying good things about it, and then you see someone saying, this is trash, sellout trash, you gotta listen to this, and so, okay, I'll go listen to this. And there's all these people in the comment of that earlier song saying stuff like, this is the real Fleetwood Mac, this is the real Genesis. Like, I can't believe what kind of trash, sellout, corporate pop they made. It's happened way too much, and I'm here, and hopefully Nick's here. I'm gonna get what his point of view is on this, but my stance tonight is to defend the later period work, because even though it may be a more commercial direction and a more commercially successful direction, I don't think it's garbage. I think it's still very good, very well worth listening to, and I think a better thing to say would just be to say they went in a different direction and I just don't like it as much, if you don't like it as much. But I don't think we should dismiss people going in a different direction as sellout garbage. That's my stance tonight. And so Nick and I are going to talk a little bit about selling out. We're going to talk a little bit about different bands that apparently have sold out over the years, compare their discographies, their early work and their later work, and we're going to come to a conclusion whether selling out is a valid term or not.
My opinion on this, well, first off, what really brought my attention to it, because usually I know Scott likes to read the comments, and he shows me these comments, and I'm like, they couldn't be any wronger. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I was guilty with this with one particular band, but I've grown to just be like, yeah, I was stupid. I was wrong, because there was a video doing top albums of '68, and I said something, and I'm like, I couldn't be more wrong about that. But yeah, I'm gonna say this right now. I think the term selling out is stupid with the way, the term selling out could be valid, but the way that most people use it in music couldn't be any more wrong. So that's just my brief thoughts before we begin my thoughts on the term selling out.
Okay, so before we begin, it looks like Briar is watching it. Good evening, Briar. We just came off of a Fleetwood Mac video earlier today talking about Mystery to Me, which you got the people who love Peter Green and the people who love the Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham stuff, but where are the Bob Welch fans, honestly speaking?
Yes, I love Bob Welch, and I'm very glad that Bob Welch isn't considered to be sellout, because that would really suck, because that's my favorite period of the band.
Okay.
I'd say he's probably the most underrated, even compared to Peter Green. I think even Peter Green had some success with the band, like the Peter Green era had more success in the UK in terms of chart success. So, why don't people call that the sellout period of Fleetwood Mac? Why can't we just be like, oh, the Bob Welch is like the real Fleetwood Mac.
Okay, so to begin, I want to say or start out by defining selling out as defined by the people. Like I've tried to come up with a definition just based off of these comments I've read, these angry comments, and apparently their definition, selling out, is deliberately changing your sound to a more commercial sound for the sole purpose of making more money and dumbing it down to the most simple thing that only the common people will understand and removing all complexity from your music. That's what I have read, and yes, I've read comments that actually say that. One guy, I'm not going to say his name, but there's a certain Fleetwood Mac video I made that was based off of this guy. Basically said that pop music is poison and that only stupid simpletons like pop music and that it's basically trash. And to put it politely, he said a lot more colorful things, but I'm not going to say what he said because it was very rude. So that's what some people think. Other people may not be as loud about it. They must just say like, "Oh, these people just went in a musical direction differently just to make more money." That's boiling it down. That's what they think selling out is that you're going to change your direction because you're not making money and you don't care about musical, like artistic vision. You just want to make money. That's what it's boiling down to. So we are going to talk today a little bit about some bands, and we're going to compare their different eras, I guess, and see, is there still artistic vision in their later periods? Because if it is, then I wouldn't say sellout is a really good term. Because if there's still artistic vision, then maybe they just were changing with the times. Is kind of the point I want to make today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start out with Fleetwood Mac, because that's a really good one to. It's got several different periods, and honestly, that's one of the biggest ones that I see a lot of arguments about.
Mm-hmm.
So to start out with that, we have to travel back to the UK, 1968.
Yeah, the different periods. So basically, Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, they form a band with Peter Green and a guy named Jeremy Spencer. You may have heard him before.
That's my brain guy.
We talk about him a little bit. So basically, what they do is they're big into blues. They make blues albums. The first one being Heavy Blues. Second one being the one that we like to crap on the most. It's called Mr. Wonderful. It's basically just bare minimum blues music. Then a band member called Danny Kerwin comes and he changes their sound. It was still a more bluesier direction, but not as bluesy as, say, for the first two albums.
More psychedelic, honestly.
A little psychedelicness into it. It's just more creative blues. It's still blues, but you still have that Peter Green influence in it. Then Peter Green leaves, and it's just him, McVie, like Mick Fleetwood and McVie always stay together. It's basically their band, really. And Jeremy Spencer's with them still, doing Jeremy Spencer does best, or being absolute worst. They released Killing House. After that album, Jeremy Spencer leaves the band because he was kind of just tired of it. And that's when a band member called Bob Welch joins the band. And in the 60s, a lady named Christine Perfect joined the band. Not really joined it, but she was like sort of like a musician who like plays on the records. She becomes a full-time member, and they released an album called Future Games. Then they released 5 albums.
Bass player.
What's that?
She gets married to the bass player.
She becomes Christine McVie, one of the best members. And then they released 5 albums with Bob Welch and Christine being like sort of the leaders. And Danny Kerwin leaves after Bare Trees. And then they would end up getting 2 extra members around that time, Bob Weston and Dave Walker. And then they would end up leaving after Penguin. And then, one of them leaves after Penguin. And then they just make 5 albums with Bob Welch. So that's like the most important thing. But after Heroes of Hard to Find, there's like a lot of stuff going on in Bubble, which was like, that's it, I'm done. This is too much to work with. And then Mick Fleetwood and John McVie were finding someone to get, and then they heard an album called Buckingham's Nicks, and they're like, we need Buckingham. That's gonna be our next guitarist. He's like,
Which I saw that album at the record store the other day.
That's cool. And Buckingham was like, I'll join you guys, but I need Nicks in the band as well. And sure enough, they made it happen. And that's when their biggest commercial success happened. That's when their first album with them did pretty well, but the next album, Rumors, that blew up. That's like one of the most popular albums of all time. If you don't know Rumors, you've been living under a rock. And they get a lot of chart success, basically. And now there's these Peter Green fans who hate on Fleetwood Mac because they changed because of those two big members, and they think they sold out because they had more chart success than, say, for the Peter Green stuff. And my thoughts on that is that's bull crap, because first off, Fleetwood Mac wasn't really that popular to begin with, and Buckingham's Nicks that album that they made together wasn't popular at all either. So
No.
Mick Fleetwood and basically John McVie were basically taking a chance getting them. So it's not like they were like a successful duo and they like brought them in because they were popular. They weren't popular. People didn't know them. It just happened to be that they just happened to make a good decision by adding them to the band. So they didn't sell out. They just made a good decision and they changed to adapt to their style. And to me, I think it worked perfectly.
It's what they were doing. They were doing what they were doing best. They were writing songs in the 70s in that style that was popular at the time, which isn't necessarily being like, oh, I'm going to dumb down my music so that we can get more money. They were just writing songs in their own style, and people liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I am going to risk getting demonetized. I'm going to play short segments, however, but I'm going to play some music to see, just to show examples. So here we go. And you don't need to see the video because it's just going to be the album cover. But I'm going to play a little bit from their debut album, their very first song called It Hit Me Like a Hammer. Let's have a little listen to it, shall we? Here it is. It hit me like a hammer. Okay, so this is the kind of music that everyone's raving about. And I hope you like that, because you're going to hear it 4 more times on the next album. Like, this is just about as basic blues music as you can get. Like, I honestly don't get why people say this is the inventive era of the band, because they got this riff at the beginning, this
I get it.
Slide riff.
Sorry to interrupt, but I get it. If they were saying that about the Bob Welch era music, I'd be like, yeah, well, I get that. And, I agree to it. And I actually agree to that. But the Peter Green era, no, I don't think so.
Like, here, let me fast forward a little bit and play a little more. I don't even know where this is going to land on the album. I just picked a random point in the album. Let's hear a little more of this album.
How many more years have you got to wreck my life?
Okay, so that's a pretty good jam they got going there. And the harmonica going in the background. But, like, musically, what's going on, it's just staying on one chord. Like, it's not and I know you can do great things with just one chord. Like Fleetwood Mac later on does an amazing song with just two of them. But I feel like this is more just a good jam rather than like a really good song. Now we're gonna go to Mr. Wonderful.
Oh no. Oh no. Dust my broom.
Yep, that's the one.
Dust my broom.
Here we go. Let's see if you can spot the difference between this and the first song on their first album. Oh, sorry. I had to stop there for a minute and restart the song. Oh, wait, no, I didn't because I actually played the next song, Dr. Brown, which sounds exactly like it. Okay, well, let's see if the next song on this album called Need Your Love Tonight's any better. This is literally the very next song on the album.
Wait, so you're gonna play Need Your Love Tonight? Live?
Oh, is this That's My Broom or is this Dr. Brown? No, it's Need Your Love Tonight. Wait, what was that? Okay. And then like what about Coming Home? That sounds interesting, right? Yeah, it's the same song but just slightly slower. Okay, I'm gonna play an actual a song from Fleetwood Mac that I actually like. And this is where I can kind of get their argument because this song is amazing. This is Oh Well, their first big hit single. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it.
Whether you're shredding down the slopes.
This was their first song with Danny Kerwin.
Yeah, with Danny Kerwin. Danny Kerwin's playing the guitar on this song.
I can't help about the shape I'm in. I can't sing, I ain't pretty, and my legs are thin.
So that's a little sample of Oh Well. This song is amazing, and then it's got this really cool outro section. It's really amazing outro section. Then that sounds a little something like this. Completely different from the beginning. I'm starting to get their argument here. This is a really creative song, a really well written song. Like two different parts, a killer riff, amazing vocals, great guitar playing. Listen to that. This is Peter Green. Danny Kerwin was the electric at the beginning, and then this is Peter Green playing the oh, and then look, is that a flute? Okay, that's a good song. I get their point on that one. Not the early blues stuff, but that right there, that is an amazing song. So we'll see if they continue that artistic. I'm not going to go through every single album. I'm just going to play a few more examples. I'm going to Bob Welch next. But we're going to see what they sound like with their new guitar player and singer, Bob Welch. This is Bob Welch's very first song that he wrote for the group. Why add?
That's not Bob Welch.
Here we go. That is so good.
That's Fleetwood Mac number right there, in my opinion.
Okay, so in my opinion, this is even better than the Peter Green stuff. Like
way better,
way underrated too. Like Oh Well is my favorite Peter Green song, but like some of this Bob Welch stuff is just way too amazing. Like you can't ignore that. I really don't think that Fleetwood Mac is selling out at all, especially not at this point. That song is amazing. I love Future Games. I'm going to do one more Bob Welch song before we get into Buckingham next, which is the big point of contingency. But we're going to listen to Hypnotized. This is one of their biggest songs up to this point.
Whether you're shredding
Stop
down
with
the
the
slopes,
ads.
cozying up by the fire,
Here we go. Listen to that. That's Mick Fleetwood. Listen to that drum. That is amazing drumming. And then here comes the jam. Oh, this hits you. Oh, listen, you hear that electric piano? That's Christine McVie.
Yes, the same kind of story.
This guy's voice is amazing.
Down long ago. Two friends having coffee together.
Okay. I think you're fair enough to get my point now. But Bob Welch, not selling out. Very creative, very amazing. Now here's where we get to apparently where Fleetwood Mac sold out. We're going to listen to one of Fleetwood Mac's biggest songs called Dreams. And I know you've probably all heard it before, but oh, this is awful.
It's not Dreams.
Live across
This isn't Dreams.
Now here you go. We want to breathe.
Okay, so what's going on here? There is two chords. It's just a boom, 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 boom. But the way that John McVie is just playing, he just comes in very strong. Boom, 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 boom. And then Mick Fleetwood keeping a solid beat. And what you got in the background is Lindsey Buckingham playing the, I believe it's the slide guitar on here. And yes, this is more commercial sounding, but it's because this is Stevie Nicks' style. Like, this is the kind of songs that she writes. She's not just trying to get more money. Like, she was trying to seriously write a good song, and I think she did it. And what she does with just this simple, I'm putting in quotations because this is actually a very well-written song. What she does with the two chords is amazing. Now, what she does later on, in the little pre-chorus section, she adds a counter melody behind. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Yeah, here. Yeah, listen, there's two Stevie Nickses here.
And what you love, and what you hate, and what you love.
Listen to the background. I haven't really noticed that before. Is there a little like vibraphone or something like that in there? Let me see if you can hear that. Dun, dun.
Hey,
Yeah, do you hear that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
little production choices like that.
See, you know, when you listen to a great song, you notice little things. Like live on the stream, we just discovered something that we never
Yeah,
heard
I've never heard that in the song before. I
So-
was like actively listening to what was going on here. Whenever you don't just automatically go, this is garbage, this is sellout music. I put my attentive listening on. I was listening to hear what's going on. I was just listening for Stevie's like harmonies and counter melody, but then I heard this little vibraphone in the background I never heard before. And like, if you were gonna make a corporate pop song that was just to get money, I don't think you'd take the time to add an extra melody in the background or a little vibraphone in there. I think you would just try to like something really quick and make it just like you and a guitar or something like that. And I don't know.
You know who did do that? Peter
What?
Green's Fleetwood Mac. they just threw in whatever the heck they wanted to in the blues, and that was popular back then in England, the blues, and in the late '60s. And guess what? They had great chart succession. So using that term, I really, if you ask me, in all seriousness, I'm going to say the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac sold out more than the Lindsey Buckingham Fleetwood Mac, if you're really going to put it that way.
Now we're going to listen to a song. Now, mind you, this is one guy that by this point in the band, they only had one guitar player, Lindsey Buckingham. I don't think there's any overdubs on here. I think this is just him playing, just him and the guitar, which we were talking about before. But listen to what he does with the guitar. This song is insanely difficult to play on the guitar. It's really tricky to play on the guitar. And from what I heard, Lindsey Buckingham had a certain sound in his mind he was going for. And so every time before he did another take, he would change the guitar strings. So he had to change strings every time before he played a take of this song, because he had an exact sound he was going for. If that's not artistic vision, I don't know what is.
Not that, but he played it without a pick. He played it without a pick too.
Yeah, with his fingers too. He had a sound with the fingers and with freshly changed strings. So here's Never Going Back Again.
She broke down and let me in.
Okay. So as a guitar player, I listened carefully. I heard that it was new guitar strings, because there's a specific sound you get. I get what he's going for now. There's a specific sound you get as soon as you change your guitar strings. When the strings are brand new, it just makes the guitar sound like it's at the height of its power. I hear what he's going for. I heard it when I listened carefully, and I heard that. There's a little like a almost ringing sound, like a singing ringing sound to the guitar whenever you first change the string. Let me play a little more and see if you can hear that. Listen carefully for that fresh, crisp string, like ringy, singy kind of thing.
Made me see where I've been.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, they still got their artistic vision. It's just a very different artistic vision than Peter Green or even Bob Welch had.
I wouldn't say Bob Welch. I'd say it's up there with that. But I see where you're coming from. It's Never Going Back is probably in my top. It's definitely in my top 10 favorite Fleetwood Mac songs.
So before we move on to our next artist, I just got one more thing to show before we move on to the next one. And it's from the next album called Tusk, because Lindsey Buckingham wanted to make the next album, The Anti-Rumors, and did a bunch of interesting recording techniques just so that he could have an artistic vision for the next album. He built a whole replica of his bathroom in the studio because he liked the way his songs sounded in his bathroom when he wrote them. He tried doing push-ups while singing on some of the songs, and yeah. So we're gonna listen to. Let's see. We're going to listen to The Ledge. This is not a pop song. If you ask me, this is a guy playing around with sounds. And then here's another one. This is called That's All for Everyone. This is his tribute to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
That's all for everyone. That's all for me. That's all for everyone. Was just too sexy for me.
Okay, so there's a lot going on in this one.
Play Sarah.
You can hear the dung 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 dung, the xylophone in the background.
You should play Sarah.
I will after that. I want to play Not That Funny, because that's the one where he did the push-ups.
Oh yeah, that's a funny song.
It's not that funny, is it? So that chord change is a very unusual chord to use in this song. If you were gonna make a pop sellout song, I don't think you would make something this interesting. I gotta play the little chord key change, kind of the surprise chord, I'm gonna call it. Yeah, that one. Listen to this. Yeah, amazing.
Not
So
to
now-
mention, not to forget about her, but Christine McVie is making
Yes.
incredible songs throughout this whole time. So throughout the Bob Welch and the Lindsey Buckingham Knicks era, Christine McVie is making great song after great song.
Christine McVie just never lets up. She always makes great songs. They're all amazing. This is Not That Funny.
It's not that funny, is it? Don't know what it is, but you can't get enough of it. It's not that funny, is it?
Here's the
Not too funny. Look,
yeah. Here's where he's doing push-ups.
it's not that funny.
Okay, so what are the other members doing at this time? Here is something that Stevie Nicks was doing at this time. Great piano from Christine McVie here. And I don't know how did they get that piano sound? Because that's not a typical piano sound. That's almost like a honky tonk kind of piano sound. I don't think that's like what a piano just automatically sounds like. They had to have been doing something to get the piano to sound like that.
Wait a minute, baby. Stay with me a while. Said you give me life, but you never.
Mick Fleetwood is playing the drums with brushes on this song. Mick Fleetwood is playing the drums with brushes. I heard it, like, there's a specific sound that you get, like, because you take the brushes and you, like, scrape them on the snare and then you hit them. There's this very specific sound of a drummer when they use brushes on a song, because drummers never want to use brushes. But I never noticed that before. Mick Fleetwood using brushes. Listen to the drumming.
Drowning in the sea of love, where everyone
I kind of hear several piano
would
parts.
love to drown,
The song is so good.
but now it's gone.
Listen to that shuffle that Mick Fleetwood is doing here.
Would love to drown, but now it's gone. It doesn't matter what
Huge drum
goes.
sound. Okay. So, yeah, they go on to make, like, Tango in the Night. You can argue is a sellout album. I really like that though. Anywhere is a really good Christine McVie song, but like that's
Little
just what we're
Lies.
gonna. Yeah. Oh man, Little Lies is amazing. We're just gonna stop here with the Fleetwood Mac discussion. There's a lot more we could go through, but the point I'm trying to make is that every single one of these songs, from Oh Well all the way through Sarah, like, all were amazing, and I could see the artistic vision in all of it. So for Fleetwood Mac, I do not think that they were selling out.
My opinion, I do not think they're selling out. If anything, it was quite the contrary. They were a sellout band and they became more unique over the time.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to our next artist.
Jew Genesis.
That's the one I was going to say. So I will preface it with this: Genesis's sound does become more commercial, but I still do think they have artistic vision, and I'm going to prove it. Sorry.
Want me to talk about their albums again? Like,
Yes,
through the
yes.
years?
Just
Okay,
like-
so Genesis, they started off with Peter Gabriel leading vocals. Their very first album was called From Genesis to Revelation. It was released late '69. That album did nothing. They were actually close to breaking up. That's how bad it did. But they decided to go on. Their first album was more of a psychedelic, like, poppy album. It's usually forgotten about. People don't really consider that to be their debut album. Trespass, though, they do prog, they do heavy prog. They start becoming a prog band. They do Nursery Crime. They do Foxtrot, which I do have on me. They do Foxtrot. Has in my opinion, the greatest 20-minute long epic, which is Supper's Ready. Still in England by the Pound. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. These 5 albums are just incredible albums. I think it's like some of the best albums ever made. Then Peter Gabriel leaves the band for a lot of different reasons. Then they had Phil Collins lead the next album, Trick of the Tail. It's another prog album. Also amazing, by the way. It still has that Peter Gabriel sound, but it's Phil Collins on lead vocals, and it's a lot more different because Phil Collins was trying to do a Peter Gabriel voice because they weren't sure if he was gonna be the lead singer. But after this album, they're like, yeah, he's our lead singer now, and they go through 2 like transitional albums called Wind and Wuthering, and then there were 3 kind of like transition albums, and then you get Duke, which kind of goes more into a pop direction. Then there's Abacab, which goes even further in there, and then their self-titled album, which also goes in there, and then like Invisible Touch is probably their most poppiest album, and then there's another album in the 90s called We Can't Dance, which is even further in there, and then they end off their discography without Phil Collins, which is called Calling All Stations. Before Scott shows off examples of each of the eras and all that, I'm just gonna say right now, I like everything Genesis done, like almost everything Genesis done. There's only like 2 albums I don't really like, but I think the prog epics that Peter Gabriel and a little bit of Phil Collins did was epic. But I also really, really enjoy these albums, especially Invisible Touch and Abacab. Those are probably my 2 best examples of that. Before you play anything, I want to show my Duke copy because that's how much I liked it. I liked it enough to buy it.
That's a good thing, Nate. Like, I know that you like the early stuff better, but I'm really glad that you just appreciate all of it. And even if people don't like the later stuff, like, I just don't like that people say it's trash and garbage. Like, because that album right there, Duke, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
It has a hit pop song that made Peter Gabriel scratch his head whenever he tried to play it on the drums.
And you want me to, I heard you say it. I do prefer the Peter Gabriel albums, but
which is totally fine. I like when it comes to Yes, my favorite albums are Relayer and Close to the Edge, but 90125 is still amazing.
Do I think Genesis became a sellout band after Gabriel left and Phil Collins turned the band into that? Well, you'll find my answer out soon.
Okay, so why not start with the very first album that Phil Collins was on? We're going to play a little bit of The Return of the Giant Hogweed. This is epic.
Yeah.
Steve Hackett on the guitar. And, of course, Phil Collins on the drums here. Let's listen to that.
Oh, yeah.
Phil is one of the greatest drummers ever, and people hate on him. Look, there's like a little triplet, like a in there, like the main drummer who's known for doing that is Bonham, and Phil's doing that here on like his debut album. Like, this is technically Phil Collins' debut album, not his solo debut album. It's like the first album he drummed on. But like, I know I love the Phil Collins stuff, but like, I'm not gonna lie that's pretty. I'm not gonna put down any of this like I did with Peter Gabriel. I'm gonna show you guys why both eras are amazing. And so we already heard The Return of the Giant Hogweed. That guitar intro was epic. That drumming from Phil Collins is insane.
You want to hear something outstanding? Listen to Watcher of the Skies.
Yes, okay. We're gonna jump over to Foxtrot. And yeah, we showcased Phil Collins, we showcased Steve Hackett. Now we are going to showcase Tony Banks on the Mellotron. Just a second. Okay, here we go. Watcher of the Skies. This is the first song on the album, too.
Yeah, it's hard to believe this thing came out in '72. Really.
Way ahead of its time. Listen to that.
Oh, it's so good.
It sounds like an orchestra, but this is a keyboard. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so you can kind of get into the groove of this song. Yeah, here, there's Mike Rutherford on the bass. We don't talk about him yet. And then Phil still got the groove here.
Listen, and then when we get to the vocals,
Oh yeah, Peter Gabriel, one of the greatest vocalists. God. Oh, those octaves! Mike Rutherford plays up, boom, 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 boom. Oh my goodness, insane! Like, I can definitely see why people would slam the Phil Collins stuff if they really like this, but it's just because they haven't given it enough try, you know. Now here's a little instrumental piece called Horizons by Mr. Steve Hackett. Like, this is some really brilliant music. Now here's the big one. I can't play the whole thing because it's 22 minutes long, but we're gonna listen to some excerpts from Supper's Ready, which is their all the people who say that they sold out later on point to this song as their best song, and I can definitely see why.
I mean,
But
it's my favorite song by them, but
it's
yeah.
epic.
Walking across the sitting room, I turn the television off.
So what we start out with, it just goes right into it. We get Steve Hackett strumming these arpeggios on the acoustic guitar, and we got what sounds like Peter Gabriel, either Peter Gabriel double-tracked, like overdubbing himself, or it's Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins singing an octave apart. Like, this is really cool.
Sitting beside you, I look into your eyes.
Okay, now that I'm listening to it, it sounds like Peter Gabriel on both parts, but
Hey, my
As
baby.
the sound of motor cars.
so that's the first section, but then we get in and it gets kind of like, where is it?
He's a supersonic scientist. He's a guaranteed sanctuary man.
Yeah, this is amazing.
This song.
It sounds like a completely different song. Listen to this. Listen to Steve Hackett. And then you get the middle section, which is
You're all full of all dad to dam to dam.
To mom, mom diddly washing, mom diddly washing.
So good. I love this song.
Let me heed the
Oh
line.
man.
It's up to the eye.
so you people who have never listened to Peter Gabriel Genesis are probably like, what the heck is this? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. This song is amazing. And then you get later, this is called Apocalypse in 9/8 time. This section of the song. And then you get the end.
This is the summer of the mighty war. Lords, King of Kings.
Yeah. So there's a reason why people love this song, because the musicianship is fantastic. And I'm going to prove to you guys that this musicianship is going to continue on. They may be going a more commercial direction just because that's what the 80s were. It was a more commercial decade. And the more polished, I'll say, people like wanted you to have a more polished sound. And a more commercial decade, but they're going to continue that amazing musicianship, even though they're not going to be doing any 20-minute songs. But the amazing musicianship is going to keep going on, even on Invisible Touch. That is my crazy statement. So we've listened to Peter Gabriel. Let's see how Phil does his first time at bat. We're going to listen to Dance on a Volcano. The very first Phil Collins Genesis song.
Crosses are green, the crosses are blue. Your friends didn't make it through. Out of the night.
Okay, so this song is in an odd time signature. Da 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 da. Like 1 2 do 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 do. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2. The song is in 7, and I know it changes several times, but the main part, that do 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 do, that's in 7. So honestly, this album pretty much just sounds like if Peter Gabriel would have still been with the band, but with Phil Collins singing. The whole album's like that. Nick, you can confirm that.
Oh yeah, if you're a fan of Peter Gabriel's like style music on the 5 prog albums, definitely check out Trick of the Tail, because it's basically, you basically summed it up well. It's basically if Peter Gabriel still was with the band, but if he gave the microphone to Phil Collins.
So now we're going to go to the album where people pinpoint the transition sound, Duke. And so let's listen to a little bit of Duke, and I want to show how the amazing musicianship continues straight from the first song. This is Behind the Lines. Now, Phil Collins would re-record this song for his solo debut in a more R&B focused version. I like this version better here on the Duke album, but that version is actually really good as well. We're not going to play that version, just pointing that out, that he did re-record this song, but here we have Behind the Lines. That drumming is insane. Listen to the drumming on this song. It is so good. Not to mention, a lot of the recording techniques used in the 80s were because of Phil Collins and the producer Hugh Padgham. Like, they pretty much engineered the drum sound of the 80s. Oh, when that kicks in. It's an epic intro. Like, they don't even start singing till a long ways into the song. I'm going to skip to when they start singing here, but...
I held the book so tightly in my hands. I saw your picture, heard you call my name.
This song, and this whole album, it's kind of catchier. Maybe you could say more commercial sounding, but the musicianship is still here. Like, even on a poppier song, I'm going to play Misunderstanding. This is the big hit from this album, but like just listen and you can still hear the great musicianship on here. Okay, so this is probably the most commercial sounding song on this record, but it's so dang catchy. Like, it must be some misunderstanding. I don't think that's just like a hook that people are like, we're just going to sell this based on the hook. Because they could have just done that over and over again, but no, like, let's look at what they do later in the song. They do a really interesting key change in the middle of the song. I'm going to fast forward to the key change on this song. Let's see.
You know.
Watch, there's a really clever key change in there.
Well, I've been waiting for this weekend. I thought that maybe we could see.
Okay. So now we've taken the key down to the flat 6 of the original key. Like, that is a really clever key change. Like, you go from the, I know, Nick, you're not a musician, so you don't know anything about music theory, but
Yeah, I don't know.
if anybody is a musician and is like, Genesis is pop sellout, like, I love the musicianship on Foxtrot, and like, they have no musicianship, it's all just pop trash. They go from the 1 to they do a key change. They're now on the flat 6 key on the chorus.
I did play the trumpet and baritone when I was in high school, in middle school / beginning of high school. So I do understand a couple of what you're saying.
Okay, so like if you got like do re mi fa sol la, it's like, and you know how they have the black keys in between. It's like
Mhm.
in between so and la. That's the key they're going to, which is it's a key that's not in the key signature. Like it's
Okay.
a borrowed chord, you would say.
I kind of get what you're saying, because yeah, I've played instruments before, so like
So
the 4/4 3/4, I think is another.
if we're gonna talk about time signatures, just wait till we get to turn it on again. Okay. So now, well, let's see how they get, because they got to go back to the original key. Let's see how they transition back.
That's why I don't know why you didn't show up that night. There must be
And then they're back.
something.
Then they're back. They got these interesting chords. Hold on a second.
That's why I don't know why you didn't show up that night.
So it's like they're going chromatically down from the flat 6 to the 5. Like that's down a chromatic half step. Like you go from the flat 6 to the 5, which you use that chromatic half step, you're down to the 5. The 5 is the dominant chord, which takes you back to the 1. Like that is good musicianship. That is not pop sellout. So now I want to talk about Turn It On Again. This song, it changes time signatures a lot, but it's mainly in 13/8. Yeah. The song, and this was a big hit. And it's in 13/8. Let's have a listen to it. It already gets you pumped up there at the intro. These chords here. Yeah, now the synthesizers in here. Yeah, Phil doing a counting. Attention. We got the riff. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1. And then we change time signatures and keys at the same time.
Some of the people in my life, I can show you. Some of the people in my life.
And now we're back. There, now we're back to the original key. We're back to,
Just another way.
and we're on a different time signature now. Right, now we're in 3/4. 3, 1, 2, 3. No, now there's about 2/4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, I don't even know how to count that. What is this? I can't even count along with this song. It's changing time signatures every other measure here, and then it's mainly in 13. Like, that is not pop sellout music. Like, you might hear it and just think this is catchy, it's got a commercial sound, but they are sneaking these sneaky time signature and key signature changes into these pop songs because they're musicians, and that's what musicians do. In the 80s, like, that's what sells. Because, like, I know I hate saying selling out, but like this this is the people's job. They have to make some kind of money from their job here. And what they're doing is they're making music, amazing music that the record executives will be like, oh yeah, we can put this. Oh, this sounds good. But they're sneaking all this great musicianship into it.
Here's the thing, though. What if like say for if like Genesis was like just prog and like the 80s comes and like their manager was like, we like kind of like because like there's like a point in Rush like early in their career where like they're either like their producers like where their manager was like, hey, it's the record label like, hey, we want you to do this or else we're dumping you from the label. Like if they did that with Genesis and like Genesis like, okay, and they did that and didn't do all that like impressive stuff, then yeah, I could see where people are coming from. But nope.
If they had not changed at all, they'd have gotten fired. Most likely. Because you gotta hold your record contract. So it's about creating a good balance between what the record contract needs because it's your job, but also keeping your artistic vision. And I think that's exactly what Genesis is doing on this album here.
Not that, but they're not. I don't know. There's this whole like it's so annoying when people say that they sell out because like I don't know because it's just stupid. It's nonsense. We'll talk a little bit more at the end of the video. I just want to do three artists. We might do a part 2 eventually. We're just going to do Fleetwood Mac, Genesis, and Yes today. If you want to see a part 2, comment down below. We can do the Bee Gees. We could do Aerosmith. I haven't listened to all of Aerosmith, but I can listen to them so that we can do Aerosmith and talk about I can give you good examples.
The Bee Gees, Aerosmith. We can even do Chicago. That's an infamous one.
I'm not that familiar with Chicago, so I'm interested in seeing their progression.
That's 3 more artists that we can do in part 2 if you guys want. But today we're covering Fleetwood Mac, Genesis, and Yes. But what I was going to say is I feel like a lot of this is musical elitism. People want to feel special. People just like to put people down and make themselves feel better about themselves. That's honestly what I think it boils down to, is they want to feel like their music is superior to other people's music. And they just want to treat people like they're stupid just because they have an excuse to. That's kind of what I feel like it boils down to.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Now we're going to go to an infamous album from 1981 called Abacab, which I love. And we're going to listen to the first song called Abacab. Okay, so you might be saying, oh, that drum sound. I mentioned a little bit about it earlier. This was like the first time we heard that drum sound. Phil Collins and Hugh Padgham invented that sound on this album. Like that gated snare that people say like, oh, the 80s production. Phil Collins was a pioneer in the 80s. He came up with that sound for this particular album here. And then what is this sound that Tony Banks is using on his keyboard? Like, what is this? Now we're on the bridge. And now Tony Banks is using an organ sound. And Phil is going into a groove on the ride cymbal here. He's switching it up a bit. Now, I want to listen to the outro jam to this song, because this got cut off on the single, which probably had to do with record executives. I don't think Genesis wanted this cut off from the music video or from the single version. But there's an outro jam if you listen to the album, which is really creative. Let's have a listen to that. Mike Rutherford. And then here we go. Now we got Tony Banks. Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks are playing off each other, while Mike Rutherford is second and Phil Collins is holding it on the rhythm. This is a really interesting harmony that Tony Banks is playing. It's like he's playing seventh. Like I don't know if it sounds, but it's something dissonant with the chord. And there's these weird sounds in the background. These sounds. And that is a great guitar lick. And then we got some ominous synths coming back. That was my brother for Yogi shredding. I don't know about shredding, but like his melodic playing here. So this is kind of one of the songs that people point to. What Genesis goes even more into pop. No Reply at All, which is kind of the blueprint for Phil Collins's solo work. And that is the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns in the background. And you can hear it. You're like, oh no, there's a drum machine on this song. Well, guess what? Phil Collins put the drum machine and the real drums in the same song. So it's not, they're just using the drum machine for an effect in the background. They're not replacing Phil. Phil's still drumming on here. I'm watching the music video right now. Phil is still drumming here. Yeah, I 100% hear Phil using a real drum kit on this song as well. Yeah, this is a good example of a more commercial sound, but it's still very catchy, and Phil Collins is definitely using different production layers on this song. Now, the songs I really want to talk about on this album are the ones that are still very proggy. We have this song here called Dodo/Lurker. Very ominous beginning. Yeah, see, look, huge drum sound. It sounds completely different from the intro. Still, like, very prog-ish lyrics here as well. I once thought he said Darth Vader there. Yeah, see, this is completely different. And he's got some cool effect on his vocals here. And then, yeah, that's a cool like from my brother here. Oh, I love this song. Oh yeah, and then we got this section. The Warfare section.
Meanwhile, lurking by a stone in the mud, two eyes looked to see what I was, and then something spoke.
Forgot how good this song was.
To me.
So I call this song like prog pop because it's got progressive elements, it's got pop elements. Another one on here like that is Me and Sarah Jane. Yeah, here's the drum machine. There's going to be actual Phil too. It's not just the drum machine. Oh, but yeah, the moody chords. Kind of reminds me of Watcher of the Skies almost. I might get a lot of hate for saying that, but I said almost.
I don't mind you saying that. I see where you're coming from, though.
Oh, that chord. Let's listen to that chord. That I think that's a minor 7 flat 5 chord, or a half diminished chord. Like you could call it either. And the way it resolves is amazing. Oh, new key.
Convince me to listen to this record again.
And look, this sounds completely different from the beginning. And there it goes again, another change. He got some echo on his voice.
Sounds like hold on, pause that. That sounds like something that Peter Gabriel would do in the early days. I might get hate for saying that. That sounds like something.
Here's what I'm really going to get hate for saying. This is one of my favorite Genesis albums.
Isn't this
such
your favorite Genesis album?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to listen to all the Peter Gabriel ones again because after listening to Foxtrot, like definitely gonna have to do a re-listen to all of those. But this is definitely one of my favorite ones, especially because of songs like this, Dodo Lurker. I love No Reply at All. It's amazing.
Man on the Corner is.
Man on the
freaking
corner.
amazing.
I mean, Who Done It is stupid, but it's funny.
I love Who Done It.
Me too.
You know what?
Stupid.
Okay, so here I'm just gonna say it. So Scott's the only person who likes Phil Collins era the best, that enjoys Peter Gabriel era a lot. I'm the only Peter Gabriel fan to really enjoy the Phil Collins fan.
It's because we're not Peter Gabriel fans and Phil Collins. We're not Peter Gabriel Genesis fans or Phil Collins Genesis fans. We are just Genesis fans.
Yes, that's a good way of putting
We
it.
like to enjoy everything that this band has put out, other than calling all stations and maybe not illegal alien. Well, I'm not even going to play that one, even though it's in the thumbnail. But I got to get to the end section. Yes, this is the same song. Nature's coming for us.
This is this sounds like a song if like they made Foxtrot in the 80s.
Oh my goodness, I forgot how good this album is. I'm gonna have to listen to it again.
You know what we should do someday, Scott? We should do a Genesis live stream, doing album listening parties, like
Yes.
going through each of the Genesis albums.
Yes. And I don't care if it gets taken down afterwards, but it's just
Oh yeah,
something
it's
to
just
do.
more of like a hangout stream, and like
Yes.
whoever's
I might do a hangout listening stream through all my 100 favorite albums.
cool.
But
Yeah,
but-
if you're interested, we could like go from their debut album all the way to We Can Dance. We'll just leave out calling all stations.
okay, so Nick, I know you don't like this album as much, but I still think there's some good things to point out in this album, particularly
Oh, you know what?
that's
I'll give the album another listen, another proper listen. I'll listen to it with fresh ears.
especially Home by the Sea and second Home by the Sea, in my opinion, is some of the best stuff they've ever done.
Okay.
Like, so I'm gonna play a little bit of Mama, which is the first song on this album, but I did some research on this. Phil Collins, you don't want to know how many like tracks he had to do with the drum machine and the real drums, and then Tony Banks apparently played like 5 or 6 different keyboards on this. And there's all this weird production that goes into this album. People just write it off as pop crap, but like these guys are experimenting with new technology. Nowadays, you say it sounds dated, but back in the day, this was state-of-the-art technology, and they wanted to figure out how to use it to make music. And this is what they come up with. I hit the wrong button. This one. So here we got the ominous drum machine. Yeah, there's Tony Banks right there. The way that the drum machine clashes with the keyboard sound. Now he's got another keyboard. Okay, so the drum machine is playing the 8 notes, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then Tony Banks on the keyboard is playing 16 notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and on the rhythm keyboard. And then he's got another keyboard part over that's playing the and then what's Mike Rutherford? I'm gonna see if I can listen to what Mike Rutherford's doing right now. I don't think he's coming in yet. That chord there is what makes the song for me. Well, that and the which we're gonna hear in a second. But whenever because this is in minor, but he slips from minor to major there when he goes that mo, which is it's the parallel major, or you would call that a Picardy third. He's taking the tonic chord, but he's making it a major instead of a minor. So it's super unexpected. And then he just goes right back into the minor. Listen to that. Now we're back in the minor. Lots of different keyboard layers. Where's the laugh? I want to hear the laugh. And there we go. There's Phil on the real drum. Now we've got real drum. This is what I like about Phil Collins, is that he doesn't just replace the real drums with the drum machine. I've said this a few times on the stream already, but Phil Collins always has to have his real drums in there too, and they mix so well with the drum machines because the drums on these Genesis 80s records sound huge with that reverb on it, and that sound. They sound huge. Here's the laugh. Oh, that's really good. Where's the laugh? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, the laugh. Very moody song. I know everybody's heard this song. I don't care if it's more commercial. I love this song. Apparently this was... Phil Collins says this was him trying to do a Beatles sounding song. And he said the drumming is straight up Ringo. Okay, so I've always loved that they have like an organ solo in the middle of the song, and then they have a guitar solo at the end. Like this is I've always loved this song. I know it's
You know what? I gotta listen to this album again.
But we're gonna skip the ones I don't like as much. This one particularly, Illegal Alien. It's funny, but it's not a good song at all. It's cheesy. But Home by the Sea. This is the really good stuff.
I remember liking this the first time.
Checking to the left and the right. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. As we live on.
And then we have some keyboard here.
Help us someone.
Yeah, this still has Phil on the drums. He's not replaced by the drum machines. So the next song I want to talk about is called I've Got a Job to Do. And I've heard this song on the radio recently, which I'm really happy because I've never heard this one on the radio before. But there's some really interesting production choices on this. Especially like the little, I don't know if it's a synthesizer. I think it's a synthesizer imitating a horn section. But the part that goes... Okay, so right off the bat, we got real Phil on the drums, not a drum machine. He's got a pretty good shuffle going here. Mike Rutherford with the guitar, Tony Banks on the keyboard.
It's no use saying that it's alright.
So that's a pretty good groove going here. And then the chorus. Oh, yeah, there's the chorus. Here's the chorus. So this is more commercial, but I'm still hearing the amazing musicianship in here. Like where's the? I want to get to that little synth horn thing. Here we go, pre-chorus. Yeah, I like that. They goes a bang, bang, bang. I'm trying to find this horn thing. Okay, I can't find it. I don't want to get copyright strike for playing too much of that song. But there's this little thing that goes in there somewhere. And there's some other songs that I really like on this album too. I really like Taking It All Too Hard. It's gonna get better. But we got to talk about the big one before we move on to Yes. Okay. Invisible Touch. Why? Oh, my mouse is frozen.
It's probably their most infamous album. It's funny too because it was our first Genesis review album we did.
Yeah. So this is their only #1 hit. No, I don't want to play the music video. Okay. Here we go.
Whether you're shredding
Again
down the
with
slopes,
the ads.
cozying up by the fire,
Okay, so I hear the drum machine on this one, and I know people say the guitar on this sounds like the default ringtone on your grandpa's phone. if you get that. But like, let's take a look at what's going on with this song, because I feel like there's a lot more than meets the eye to it. Okay. So just listening to that little sample, I'm hearing that there's some interesting chord choices on this song. It's not just your basic 1-4-5 kind of thing. Like, I'm going to replay a little bit of that, but I definitely hear some interesting chord choices here, especially in this little pre-chorus section. That one in particular, that's a good chord choice. Here's the pre-chorus. Yeah, so this is I'm not going to disguising it. This is not a prog song and all. This is a straight up pop song, but it's a good one. And I know I'm hearing more of the drum machine than Phil on this. I know Phil does play later on this album, but like this song is catchy. Let's go a little bit later. Yeah, this section. Forget about that. Listen to this. Yeah, interesting chord choice there. That's not a normal chord selection. Yeah. So what else do we have on this album? We have Tonight, 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 which is almost 9 minutes long. If you're listening to the album version, which you should be. That's definitely a drum machine that's very moody. Okay, what I love about this song is Tony Banks' moody keyboard in the background. And then like that guitar. This is setting up a mood, especially if you look at the lyrics. Okay, so I definitely hear, like, this might actually be some Phil drum overdubs on this song. I hear a snare in here at least. Tonight, tonight, gonna make it right. Tonight, tonight, tonight. Tonight.
Even though I will say it's probably their most simplistic album up until then, it's probably their best album with Phil Collins in their pop era because
Yeah.
it's just great, catchy lyrics. It's just really good.
Here's the thing about Phil. Because Phil definitely was bringing more of his solo work influence onto this album. Now that I hear it, because of the previous '80s Genesis albums, I kind of seem more like their earlier stuff. Now that I listen to them, but listen to this. This is more simple, but like and more Phil Collins solo related. But like, it's really well written. I will put it that way.
I can
Like,
see where I'll say this. I could see where people put the term selling out on this album, but not the previous ones.
yeah.
Like, if you're
I can see it, but like I don't think that it's still trash.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's trash, but I could get where people are coming from, where it could be a turn off.
This is a pop record, but it's a good pop record.
Exactly.
And
But I could see where people could be turned off by this though.
listen to this middle section here. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say about Phil is that with Peter Gabriel, who had all these fantastical lyrics like fantasy, like they didn't make a lot of sense. With Phil, I feel like Phil brings a more almost human side to Genesis. Like the lyrics are very relatable on a lot of their songs. Before it was like you couldn't even comprehend what the heck they were saying. But some of the lyrics on a lot more relatable and a lot more human. Like this is an anti-drug song, Tonight.
I will say I do prefer Peter Gabriel's more lyrics, but that's me though. I'm not going to be like this is trash.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that Peter Gabriel's lyrics were bad either. I'm just saying
I know that too. It's just
like they're both great. It's just one of them is like poetry, and then one of them is like human emotion.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to knock or anything. I just wanted to give my perspective, and I wanted to be like, yeah, even though I prefer, this side, I think the other side's also pretty good. I don't think it's trash.
And of course, we have this amazing song.
Good song.
I'm not going to play any more of that song because you all know this song, but this song is an anthem. Like it's just about that we all need to stop arguing and come together and make this a world worth living in. Like there's a message behind that song. Of course, this is an infamous track on this album. What? Genesis is doing a ballad. How dare they?
All the time I was searching.
Okay, so what I'm going to say about this song is Phil Collins's vocals are amazing. Like he can sing a ballad really well. And then look, this song is called Domino. It's 10 minutes long. This is going back to the more proggy stuff. The prog is still here. Some of the other stuff is more poppy, but this is the most prog song on the album.
The gray of evening fills the room.
Yeah, this is definitely prog.
There's no need to look outside. Do you know what you've become?
And then you go forward. There's several parts of this. Yeah, see it. Here we change. All of them. I love this part. Tension. Sound effects.
Now see what you gonna learn.
Oh. Okay, so yeah, that's the most prog song. There's also Throwing It All Away. You guys probably know that song. Another ballad on here, really well written one. So yeah, I will say this album is a lot more commercial, but like I don't feel like they're completely abandoning their artistic vision, especially since 2 of the songs are over the 8-minute mark on this album. And I feel like it's just more that Phil Collins had his solo career, and like he's just writing more songs like that. Like I will give you guys this, that Invisible Touch is a pop album, yes, but I don't think it's trash. I think it is still very worth listening to because it's well written pop music. I don't think this is just corporate garbage that they turned out just to make money. Because there's a lot of stuff on here worth your time, a lot of catchy stuff. And that's what I have to say about that.
You
one.
guys got to realize that making music could be very challenging, and it takes a lot of work. So
And
why would they put more work for something that they're just going to do just to make more money and to just sell out?
also, like, who wants to only listen to Supper's Ready? I'm not always in the mood for Supper's Ready. Sometimes I'm in the mood for tonight. No, I know, but sometimes I'm in the mood for tonight, or Throwing It All Away. Like it's because they're good songs. Like it all depends on what you're in the mood for.
Yeah, like after listening to like the prog albums for a lot, you're gonna be like, like how can you like listen to the Trespass to how can you listen to the like Trespass to Trick of the Tail constantly and not be like, you know what? Let's explore. How can you not do that?
Yeah, and if you take a look at some of the outtakes from some of these albums in the 80s, they were wanting to do side-long suites on some of them. Duke, when they wanted to make The Story of Albert on a side. And then Abacab, they had the Nami Nanu suite, which featured Dodo Lurker on it, and a song called Submarine, which is apparently the answer to the riddle at the end of the song. It's a submarine. But the reason that they didn't is because, and get this, they didn't want to do the same thing. They wanted to branch out and try something new. That's the reason they didn't have sidelong suites, because they'd done that before and they wanted to do something new. And that is the big selling point I'm going to have for Genesis here, is they always wanted to do something new. And if that's not artistic vision, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, I feel like, AC. This is what I wanted to say before. I kind of forgot what I was going to say, but if they sound the same constantly, it's gonna be like take AC/DC for example. Like they do the same.
All of their albums are the same, except halfway through, the singer sounds like he's gargling now.
But like it's like the same thing over and over, and it gets so repetitive, like quickly, and it's just like, come on, let's do something different.
Okay, that is the end of Genesis. We got one more artist I want to talk about, and then we will wrap things up. But we're going to talk about this band right here. Yes. I know you guys probably all know Owner of a Lonely Heart. But Yes was a progressive band. Nick, you want to do the background information?
Background information. So basically, I'm not familiar with the members as much as you guys are, but basically they started off in the late 60s like Genesis did. They both started out in 69. They made 2 albums. I wouldn't call them proggy. They're like not really heavily prog, but like they're trying to find a sound. And then the 3rd album, the Yes album, they found their sound pretty well. But then Fragile, that's when they perfected it. That's when they were like, let's make these amazing prog albums. They did perfectly on Fragile. They made Close to the Edge. They also did Relayer, which was freaking awesome. They also did an album called Tales from I can't say that word. Topographic Oceans. It's basically 4 songs, and it's like 1 side each, and it's 20 minutes long. It gets very exhausting after like 2 of them. It gets very exhausting to listen to that album, if you ask me. Going for One, pretty good album. Tormato is probably one of their worst albums. I wouldn't consider it to be a sellout album, but it just, personally, I don't think it's their best work. They made an album called Drama, and then 90125, that's like their big breakout album, like commercially, and they get really big on the song Owner of a Lonely Heart, like Scott mentioned. Then they made an album called Big Generator, which is also sort of continuing that. Then they kind of ventured out after that, But the biggest thing to really point out is that they started as a prog band, like heavily prog, like if you thought like Rush was heavy, and if you really thought Genesis was like proggy.
Oh yeah, Yes is like textbook definition prog band.
Exactly, but then they switched their sound to become more commercial, and a lot of people think that's horrible. And honestly, I don't think they're a sellout band, but.
No, and I'm going to show you there are still some progressive elements on 90125, especially the song Changes, which is my favorite song on the album. But we're going to start off by introducing their progressive sound, and here is Yours Is No Disgrace from the Yes album. So here we get Chris Squire and the Monster on the bass, by the way. Musicianship is amazing in this band. So this song is 9 minutes and 40 seconds long. We're like 2 minutes in and they haven't even started singing yet. Rick Wakeman on the... Oh wait, no, that's not Rick Wakeman. I forgot it. The original guy. 20K, I think. Listen to that. It's completely different from the intro. It's just singing and then bass, and then you can hear Steve Howe come in there. Oh, the stereo panning on that is really cool. Oh, Chris Squire's bass. Yeah, so you can tell different sections, lots of jamming. The next song is called The Clap. I'm not going to play that, but it's an instrumental, kind of like Horizons. The one I want to play is Starship Trooper. This song is epic. John Anderson. Let's like diminished chord there. There's 3 sections to this. And here's the middle section called Disillusion. In the end. Oh. yeah, that's a good jam there. And then there's another famous song, I've Seen All Good People on this album.
All good people turn their heads each day so satisfied.
Acapella at the beginning. Steve Howe on the acoustic guitar. And in the middle, organ. So you can tell, very, very progressive sound on here.
Yeah, it's just very creative, but even though this is their sound and what people would want from them, even their more commercial stuff has a lot of creative things going for it that people don't tend to like look for because they hear it's catchy and they're like, "This is corporate sellouts."
I know. Well, I know this song is 8 minutes and 36 seconds, but there was a time when this was a huge hit. Yep. The bass on this song is amazing. You've probably heard that, sadly, from memes.
Oh yeah, Divine.
But like, there's some other great stuff on this record. Listen to South Side of the Sky. amazing, amazing. And then there's another big song on this.
Enrique
No.
Iglesias, Ricky Martin,
No.
Pitbull.
No, not Pitbull. That's what I wanted to hear, not Pitbull. Oh, that's so good. Oh, Chris Squires fake. Long distance runaround. This song's amazing. And Heart of the Sunrise is insane. Oh! Yes. But the real one that people say is the best, Close to the Edge, 18 minutes and 43 seconds. So it starts out with these animal sounds, and then it just hits you with this. Insane. And they kind of get into more of a traditional sound in 1 minute. And they start singing here. Yeah, this is kind of repeat. And there's this kind of theme that goes through here. This dun 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 dun. Like it repeats throughout the song. But then we got something completely different here in the middle. I'm seriously having to limit myself because I don't want to turn this into a video about me geeking out over Close to the Edge. And then my favorite part, the organ. There's like a little grip sound, like. This just sends chills down my spine every time I hear it. This hurts. Minor 7, flat 5. And the way it transitions into the next section. You got a church organ and an analog synth at the same time. Oh! And then it ends like it began with the animal song. Yeah, this is one of their best songs. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And then I'm going to skip Topographic Oceans because it gives me listening fatigue, but I'm going to go to Relayer and show you how great the Gates of Delirium is. Yeah, this song is amazing. I love it so much. So what I'm going to say about the Gates of Delirium before I give sound examples is that this song, what it does is it shows you all the horrors of war. It puts it right before your very eyes, or ears, I guess. Shows you all the terrible things about war. Gives you like an audio, basically the musical equivalent of war in front of your ears. And then it gives you soon at the end to give you hope. It's so amazing. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Here's the Gates of Delirium. This is Patrick Moraz on the keyboards instead of Rick Wakeman. I just love that like almost mechanical sounding. So it sounds like preparation for battle. So here we got kind of right before the battle starts. And here we go. Now we're right in the middle of the battle now. Listen to this. It sounds like we're in the heat of a battle. It sounds like it would make a great video game soundtrack. The boss battle music. You can hear the cheering in the background. Steve Howe is just filling it on the guitar. You see, hear all the crashing sound? This show is just insane. Yeah, I love this part with this keyboard here. All this and that dissonance on Chris Squire's bass. So then this is kind of the aftermath of the battle. And then you get the soon section at the end. Oh, I love this. And then the haunting ending. With the Mellotron. And Steve Howe's guitar. Oh, the way this song ends is so haunting. And then a hopeful note at the end. So good. I love this song. I love Relayer so much. And then, oh, hold on a second. How do you get to... There's another song I want to play from this album. Sound Chaser. This is almost like jazz fusion, almost. Oh my goodness. Alan White on the drums. And then Steve Howe has a guitar solo in the middle that's unaccompanied. It reminds me kind of Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin. Yeah, if you've never listened to Relayer, have a listen to that album. That album is insane. I'm going to skip ahead to the album that people say is where they sold out. I know there's a lot of albums in between, especially like Drama, which is still pretty progressive, which is the album right before what we're going to listen to. But we're going to jump on ahead to 90125 and show kind of how there's still progressive elements in that one. And I don't think they sold out on this album. They have a new guitar player called Trevor Rabin is the name. He kind of wrote a lot of the songs on this album. But let's go ahead and start off with the most infamous one. First off, that little drum thing at the beginning, I don't know what that was. I think it was a sample of something. But who starts their song like that? This riff is insane. What is that? What is that? Like, listen to that. Like, I know this is a pop song. This is like a lot more commercial sounding, but like, who puts that in a song? Like, it's so weird, but it works so well. And then okay, that particular part is something I want to point out. This album is produced by Trevor Horn of the Buggles, who was actually the replacement singer for John Anderson on the last album. But Trevor Horn is a great producer, and some of his production choices really elevate this album. Like that little much better than... You can hear a little phasing, flanging effect on John Anderson's voice if you listen really carefully. Listen for the much better than a... And then there's the middle section, which sounds like... and then it goes into the. I'm still confused by this section. And this guitar solo, like, what is this guitar solo? There's a harmonizer on this guitar thing. There's a little run coming up here. The stereo panning on the guitar. Yeah, that little run there. Yeah. Really cool stuff going on this song. But then there's another song I want to talk about on this album called Changes. Listen to this. First off, it starts off with a xylophone. We're in an odd time signature here. Dun, 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 dun. Like, try counting along with this. And it's tricky, isn't it? It gets into it. We get into the. We got some guitar. Great. Trevor Rabin is a great guitar player. Speaking of which, this is him singing. He sings the verses, and John Anderson sings the chorus. There we go. Here's John Anderson. Huge sound. I love that part where they go changes, and then the end is the same as the beginning with. Yeah, goes back into that. Like, there's some very creative stuff on this album. There's another song, Hearts, the last song. I love this one too. It starts out with this like panpipe synth.
So see the children's way.
It's gotta get into that. Alan White's drumming on this album is great.
As we cross in close proximity, like rivers. Two hearts are better than
Yeah, keychain. Whoa, that chord. And then we got xylophone on here.
Such good music.
So yeah, Hearts, another winning song. This record is full of great songs like that. I'm not going to play all of them just for time purposes, but Hold On, It Can Happen. There's a really cool instrumental called Cinema that won them a Grammy for Best Instrumental. Yeah, this album is really good. The last album I'm going to play songs from is Big Generator, and then we'll kind of wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, Big Generator. So, Rhythm of Love, great song. I don't want the music video, though. Okay. Here we go. We got these synths here opening it up. Really, some really good vocals here. And this sound is huge.
in this ecstasy. Your charms are frozen. I mean, up your day.
So yeah, definitely more popular direction, but like still I can hear very good musicianship on here. This is the title track, Big Generator. Listen to that.
It's a really good song.
That's amazing.
I haven't listened to this in a while.
Oh. Shoot high, aim low. This is another good one.
In the blue sedan, we didn't get much further.
And that's Trevor Rabin singing this one. And I guess the most infamous song on here is Love Will Find a Way, but I still really like this song. Like, it starts off with a violin, like, that's amazing. Get Trevor Rabin here on the guitar.
You wanna get next to me? I need your intrusion.
So, like, about the pop music later on, like, this is definitely, like, 90125 still had some prog elements. This one has a few prog elements, but Big Generator is mostly a pop album. But like I was saying with Genesis, musicians know how to make good pop songs because they're capable of just amazing things. They have a good ear for melody, for harmony, and there's still lots of interesting things going on here. So again, with Yes, I don't feel like they're selling out either. I just feel like once again going into the 1980s, it's kind of like it's time to change kind of thing. It's going along with the kind of music that people were making in the decade and still putting their unique spin on it.
Next time we do this, I want to do Queen, and I want to show examples.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of great Queen. I know that video is probably going to get taken down because it's Queen, but I want to show examples of why Hot Space and the Works and like some other 80s albums by Queen isn't them selling out, because a lot of people are like, they use synthesizers and they're selling
They
out.
said no synthesizers on their albums.
And yeah, that might be an interesting discussion with us, because I know you're not into Hot Space, and I want to show reasons why they're not selling out on that album.
Yeah. So we went over Fleetwood Mac, we went over Genesis, and we went over Yes. At the very least, I hope that we at least will convince our watchers here just to maybe don't call later period albums and artist discography garbage. Like, there's still definitely stuff worth looking at. Even if it is a more commercial direction, don't just label it as selling out, because I still can hear the unique blueprint that the artists are putting on these songs that make them them. I don't feel like they've completely abandoned their artistic vision on these albums.
Yeah, I agree. I think every song they showed was great.
Okay, so if you'd like to see a part 2 in this series, The Myth of Selling Out Part 2, leave a comment down below. Maybe list some artists that you'd like to see covered in Part 2. We listed a few earlier that we might could do, but we're adding Queen, so we'll talk about which artists we'd like to do in Part 2 if we do that. But we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching, and remember that music is art and art is expression.